Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first meal prep of 2021. We have 2020 behind us. It is a new year. I'm so excited for this year, and most importantly, I'm excited to share it with all of you. In today's video for breakfast prep, I'm planning on doing butterscotch rum overnight oats, and for lunch prep, I'm planning on cheeseburger bowls. I found this recipe on the Weight Watchers website and it looked really good, so I'm anxious to try these. I'm also going to be putting together a couple DIY dinner kits, and then for snacks, I really don't have too much because for snacks this week, I plan on just doing my pudding cups and fruit. So if you want to see how I meal prep breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for my husband and I, then stay with me. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kristi and I'm Planning Us Healthy.
Don't you know that you're beautiful? No matter what the scars, no matter what they say, and you'll shout it out louder, prouder. Ain't no one gonna hold us down, 'cause you know that we're beautiful, just the way we are, just the way you are, oh, just the way you are.
Before I get started with meal prep, I just want to do a little bit of an introduction just because I know it's the beginning of the year and some people may be getting back on track. So some of you may be finding my videos again, or some of you may be new here. If you are, welcome. As I said, my name is Kristi. I'm currently following the WW Blue program, but on my channel, I do provide the points for all three programs, and I also give the calories as well. However, you don't need to be on any type of weight loss program to get tips and ideas for my channel. I do what's for dinner videos, I do meal preps, I do meal plans, grocery hauls, things like that. So if you like those videos, I would love to have you as part of our family. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also make sure to click the notification bell so you're notified anytime I upload new content. When I do my meal preps, I am meal prepping for my husband and I for just 3 days of the week. I usually do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for meal prep. Sometimes some of those get bumped to a different day. So in other words, on Tuesday morning, I have meetings. Sometimes I miss breakfast, so I may bump that breakfast to Thursday. So that's why I only do 3 days. And plus I really don't like to prep out beyond 3 days. So usually Thursday or Friday we do something different, something easy, maybe a sandwich. So you're gonna see me prepping 6 breakfasts and 6 lunches. I'm gonna be making them and then I just keep them in my fridge for the 3 days. For my dinner kits, I do those a little bit different. I'm basically putting all the ingredients in a bag. I'm not cooking anything, not washing produce or anything like that. Just putting them into a bag so that all the ingredients are already pre-measured. That way when I get home from work, I can just pull that kit out and start making it. And I already have everything measured out. And then I just write the points on the bag so that way I know how many points it is. So now let's get started with meal prep. I'm gonna get started with breakfast. Any of the items that you see me using, I try to link down below, like the direct links to my Amazon store. I will also be linking all the recipes down below. And finally, if you're new to meal prepping, please know that I have been meal prepping for a long time and I do a pretty big meal prep. So it is very easy to get overwhelmed when you first start meal prepping. So I would definitely say to start slow, maybe 1 week just do breakfast or just do lunches. You don't have to do anything big. Even just cutting fruit is a form of meal prepping, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so I think I've chatted enough now. So for these overnight oats, like I said, these are butterscotch rum overnight oats. These are going to be 6 points on blue and green, 2 points on purple, and 269 calories. You could definitely lower the points by using less oatmeal or don't use the chia seeds. I like to use chia seeds just because they're really good for heart health. So for this recipe, I'm actually going to be linking you to my birthday cake overnight oats recipe because it's basically that recipe with a couple modifications. So I'm taking that recipe and instead of the cake batter extract, I'm going to be using rum extract. I found this at my local Walmart. I'm sure Amazon has it as well. And then for, instead of rainbow sprinkles, I'm going to be using Lily's baking chip. I'm going to be putting 16 chips in each container. So 16 chips is 1 point. All right, so for this recipe, I'm going to be using 8-ounce mason jars. This is going to come quite to the top, so if you have 12-ounce, you may want to use those. I'm just going to be using the Quaker Oats Quick Oats. I get this great big thing at Sam's Club. So I'm going to put half a cup in each container. Next, I'm going to be putting half a tablespoon of chia seeds. Like I said, if you want to save yourself a point, you could leave these out. If you leave these out, I always suggest maybe use a little bit less milk just because these really bulk it up. And also, overnight oats are really thick. The consistency is thick. So if you don't like them real thick, you could definitely add some more milk the day that you have them. And we put them in the fridge. I just put the tops on them, put them in my fridge, and we eat them cold. A lot of people don't like cold oats. I love overnight oats cold. I usually actually bring them out and get them room temperature, and then that's the way I like them. But if you want to heat them, you definitely could do that. I personally have never heated them, so I can't tell you like what it does to the consistency or anything. The next thing I'm going to be putting in here is some sweetener, brown sugar sweetener, 1 teaspoon. I usually use the Lakanto, but I don't think I have quite enough Lakanto left. So this is Lakanto Golden, and this is Swerve Brown Sugar. These are both sugar replacements. They say that the Lakanto is actually a little bit better for you. These are both in my Amazon links. I will link them down below. So I'm going to try and see if I can get, yeah, I'm not going to get very much out of this one. So I want 1 teaspoon in each one. Yep, not quite, almost enough. Okay, so 1 teaspoon of that, and then we want 1 teaspoon of the rum extract. Next, we want a tablespoon of Maple Grove Farms sugar-free syrup. If you use any other brand, make sure to put it into your tracker because some of the brands are different as far as point. So I'm using 1 tablespoon, and I don't think I'm gonna have enough of this one. And finally, the last thing is a 1/2 cup of unsweetened almond milk. If you want, you can use the vanilla kind also. I've used the vanilla in a lot of my overnight oats, and it comes out real good that way too. Now, if you're using the 8 ounce, this is gonna be a little bit tricky because it's gonna wanna overflow. So it's gonna actually come up into the funnel. What I usually do is just take a knife and it'll bubble itself right back down. There we go. So if it works, if you just have the 8 ounce, they work. Like I said, you just really need to use the funnel and kind of use the knife. And then just take the knife and just stir all of that together. So I just stir it pretty gentle. I don't want to over stir it. Just want to mix everything together. And then it'll settle in the fridge and it'll all firm up together. So I'll just go through and put the rest of these together. All right, that is it. So now the last thing we're gonna do is add the Lily's butterscotch chips. So I'm just gonna add 16 to each one. And I'm not gonna stir those in, I'm just gonna leave them right at the top. And that is all there is to it. So there you go. I'll show you a close-up at the end. They are so easy, so versatile. Overnight oats are one thing that you really kind of have to play around with to get a liking for them. People either love them or they hate them. But I will say there have been ones that I don't like. So just play around with them until you get the flavors that you want. I have a ton of them on my website, all different kinds. I just love them. Pancake bakes and overnight oats, I think, are pretty much my staple breakfast that I like to make all the time. So now I'll just cover these, put them in my fridge, and they'll be ready to go for morning. All right, we're moving on to lunch. For lunch this week, I am making cheeseburger bowls. These look really good. These really remind me of my Big Mac salads, but they're just a little bit different. So these are gonna be 5 points on all programs, or 258 calories. If you wanted to lower the points even more, you could use ground turkey breast instead of the ground beef, but I'm gonna do it with the ground beef. So it's gonna be 5 points and 258 calories. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get a pan heating up. I'll put my burner on. I'm just gonna spray my pan with some cooking spray. and get the pan heating up while I cut up the onion. How much onion you use is up to you. I like a lot of onion, so I'm going to use this great big one. All right, then once you get that cut up, just put that in the hot pan. And I like to cook my onions just a little bit before I add the beef in. Now I'm going to use 1.5 pounds of extra lean ground beef. This is the 96% lean. That's how it comes out for the points. When I bought this, I only bought 1 pound when I did my Aldi haul. So I ended up stopping at Walmart. Walmart did not have any extra lean. All they had was the regular lean ground beef. So I'm going to be using 1/2 pound of this only because I didn't have the 96% lean. But as far as the points and the calories, it's going to be based on using 1.5 pounds of the extra lean ground beef. So for me personally, I'm going to actually be counting it extra. I'm going to count it as an extra point. So what I'm going to do is just weigh out 8 ounces. There we go. And then just let that cook up for a little bit. All right, then we're gonna add about 1 teaspoon of kosher salt and some pepper. So now I'm just gonna let that finish cooking. All right, that is cooked through, and you know what? I don't even know what I was thinking. Honestly, I don't even know why I bought the 96% lean. Normally when I cook my ground beef, I just use the 85% and then I rinse it afterwards. I just rinse all the fat off and I call it 96% lean. You don't have to do that if you're, if you're leery of that. So since I did have some of the 93%, I'm gonna rinse this with water, and then that way I'm gonna count it all as the 96%. So I'm just gonna bring it over to my sink, and I have a colander over a pan because you definitely don't want the grease to go down your sink, and just give it a rinse with water. Then I'm just going to transfer that back to the pan and set that aside while I start on the bowls. So I have some iceberg lettuce and I have a big thing of romaine lettuce. As far as calories, it calls for 6 cups of romaine lettuce and 2 cups of the iceberg lettuce. But with WW, we don't have to weigh it or measure it, so I'm just going to be kind of eyeballing it. So I'm going to get my romaine just cut up. I'm gonna wash it in my OXO salad spinner. So I'm not gonna take it in my sink with me. Basically what I'm gonna do is just put some water in here and some vinegar and let it sit for a little bit. I don't know, people ask me why I put vinegar in there. I always have done that. I was just taught that when I was little, so I heard that it gets the bacteria off. Whether it does or not, you can just use regular water though, from my understanding. So I'm just gonna go let this soak for a little bit. All right, that's been soaking, and I think I might have too much in there. Probably gonna have to do the lettuce in batches. Okay, I've got all the lettuce washed. So I'm just gonna cut the iceberg lettuce up a little bit. I think I'm actually gonna have quite a bit. And then just put a little bit of iceberg on the bottom of each one. I'm probably gonna just kind of mix them up together. I like to use iceberg and romaine. Sometimes I even use coleslaw in my salad bowls because the coleslaw, I don't know, just gives it a little bit of a sweeter taste. But I like the crispness of the iceberg lettuce, so that's why I mix them. Let me chop up some of the romaine a little bit too. So when I make salads, I make a big salad. My salads are huge. So my husband probably won't eat it. I can eat a huge salad. My husband, not so much. So he will probably make a salad last 2 days. These are gonna be stuffed. Now, one thing I have had people ask me before is, don't salads get mushy? Don't they get watered down from sitting in the fridge? I've never had that problem, honestly. I think for me is just because I use my salad spinner to really get as much moisture off as I can. And also, these are packed so much that I think it just doesn't have room for them to build the water. I don't know. I have no idea, but I don't usually have that problem. Okay, so as you can see, those are really big salads. Okay, now I've got tomatoes. I'm using beefsteak tomatoes. I prefer Roma tomatoes, actually. To me, those stay a little bit better. Now, one thing you could do is you could just put these in a baggie and set them aside, because sometimes tomatoes will make it a little bit soggier. I'm going to take my chances. I will say I have better luck with Roma tomatoes. Those don't seem to let off as much moisture, but I'm just going to put them in this way. So I'm going to use, since I've got the beef steaks and I just have 3, I'm going to use a half of one in each container. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is cut up these dills. I'm using Vlasic, they're the Snackums. I actually bought some, just like some hamburger dills, the sliced ones, because I thought that would be real easy. I could just pull them out. I dropped them. When I was unloading the truck, I dropped them. So I'm just gonna use these. So I'm just gonna kind of cut them up and just put little slices in there. Okay, and then I'm gonna take some and I'm gonna dice them up real good. I need about 2 tablespoons, actually minced. I wanna mince them up real good. And that's gonna be for the sauce. I'm actually probably gonna use pretty much all of that. It's gonna be a lot more. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot more than 2 tablespoons, I think. I'm curious about the sauce. I don't want to waste it, so I'm just going to add it to the dishes. I'm curious about the sauce. It doesn't seem to me like that's going to be enough sauce, so we may end up adding some the day we have them. All right, I'm also going to add just a little bit of red onion to each one. All right, now the last thing I'm gonna put in before the sauce is the cheese. I'm gonna be using these Velveeta shreds. So I'm gonna weigh out the cup just so that I can split it evenly. It's 28 grams for 1/4 of a cup. So for 1 cup, I'm gonna need 112 grams, and then that's gonna be about 18 grams that's gonna go into each meal prep container. Okay, so the salads are done. Now we're gonna make the sauce. All right, for the sauce, I have, like I said, I have the dill pickle already in there. One thing I meant to do is when I cut up that onion for the burger, I meant to save a little bit because we need about 1 to 2 tablespoons of minced onion for this. So what I'm gonna do is just use a shallot. That way I don't have to cut into a whole onion. So I've got the pickles and shallots in there. So now I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of light mayonnaise. I'm just using the Berman's kind that I get from Aldi. For this one, I'm actually gonna weigh it out just to make sure I have it exact. 1 tablespoon is 15 milliliters. So I'm gonna put my scale on milliliters. And I will link my scale down below. I've had a couple people ask about this scale, so I will make sure to link it down below. And then for 1 tablespoon is 15 milliliters, so I need 3 tablespoons, so that's gonna be 45 milliliters. I've got 46, that's gonna be close enough. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the ketchup, so I'm just using some Heinz ketchup. With this, I need 2 tablespoons, so 2 tablespoons is 17 grams. So I'm just gonna put it on grams and just put in 17 grams. And then I'm gonna need some mustard. I need 2 teaspoons of this. 1 teaspoon of mustard is 5 grams, so I'm gonna put 10 grams in there. Shake it up, make sure there's no water in it first. It's just sometimes a lot easier to weigh things out, and honestly, it's more precise. And I've been getting out of the habit of weighing everything, so I'm trying to kind of get back to that. And the last thing we need is some Worcestershire. I think I said that right. We need 1 teaspoon of this. So 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. All right. And then we're gonna just mix that all up. And then that is gonna get divided into some containers. It's honestly not a lot of sauce, so I may end up taking another point or 2 and making some more sauce. I don't know. Sometimes sauce like this doesn't look like a lot, but once you put it in there, it goes a long way. But keep in mind, I have a lot of lettuce in there. So if you were to use a lot less lettuce than I did, then this is probably gonna be plenty for you. So I'm just gonna drop it like by the tablespoonful into each container. Yeah, like I said, that's not really a whole lot. When I make my Big Mac salads, the sauce comes to the top. Like there's a lot of sauce. So this, I don't think this is gonna be enough at all. You know what I may do is I may get some fat-free Thousand Island dressing or something and just add a little bit of that to it. Or even some French, I may do that. Did y'all think I was gonna forget the meat? I forgot the meat. All right, now we're gonna just put the meat on there. So what I would normally do is on WW, if I use ground turkey breast, then I would just kind of eyeball it. Since this is ground beef, any overage could count a point. So I'm gonna actually weigh this out, and then that way I know how much to put in each one. So I'm just gonna use the bottom of my salad spinner. I'm gonna weigh it out in grams. And also, since I rinsed it, I added a little bit more pepper and kosher salt to it, because with rinsing it, it probably rinsed those spices off. I didn't even think of that. So if you're new, I'm not a chef of any kind. I'm just sharing with you my meal prepping experience. All right, so we've got 738. So I'm not that good. So 738 divided by 6 is 123. So that's gonna tell me to put 123 grams in each one. And also, my husband and I like this cold, so that's why I'm putting it in there like this. If you prefer to heat your meat first, then just put it in a separate container and just put it, you know, on the side. But we actually like it mixed in there with it cold, so that's why I'm putting it in there. I need to make sure I tell you that. So that is what they look like, and I'll show you a better close-up after. So the way these are is 5 points on all programs and 258 calories. That's with the sauce and the salad. So moving on to dinners, like I said, I basically just do my own dinner kits. I have these reusable bags, which I will link down below. I just use a dry erase marker on these and it washes off real well. Also, the little containers that I have, you're gonna see me using a bunch of little containers. The ones that I use for the cheeseburger bowls, those are just ones that I get from the Dollar Tree. You get them 10 for $1. But then I have some that I actually have kept from years ago when I did meal delivery kits. I just kept the containers myself. So for the first night, we're gonna be doing basil Parmesan salmon with rice and asparagus. This is 5 points on blue and purple and 12 points on green. If you use brown rice, then on purple, your entire dinner would only be 2 points because your rice would be 0. I'm actually gonna be using the Uncle Ben's Ready rice. It's just the microwave rice. It's ready in 90 seconds. I love this rice. So that's why it's points even on purple. This kind is not 0 on purple. So I won't put that in the bag. I'll just set it with it. So what I do is just put the vegetables in there. I haven't washed them or anything. I'm using asparagus this night. I just cut the ends off, that's all. So for this one, I don't recommend closing the bag. Asparagus kind of needs some room to breathe. So for this one, I usually leave the bag open a little bit. I have my topping for my salmon that I've already put together, and I just keep it in a container. So in here is 3 tablespoons of light mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, and about a tablespoon of basil. And then in this one is another ½ tablespoon of Parmesan. So for this, I'll put it over the salmon, I'll put it in my air fryer and cook it, and then towards the end, I'll just put on the rest of the Parmesan. So that gets put in there, and then I have my salmon that I have already portioned out. That will go in there as well. And I have about a pound of salmon, and we split it into 3. So most of my dinner kits are enough for 2 servings. Most of them. Tonight is a little different. But when I do salmon, I always do enough for 3. We have a pound and we split it into 3, and my dogs get to have salmon on salmon night. So that's all that I do for those. So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna close that one up. This one, there's really nothing to do. This is 1 pan ranch pork chops and veggies. I don't even have the points on this one because there really is no recipe, so I don't know for sure exactly what I'm doing. I just have some broccoli in the bottom of this bag. I've already put it in there. I just use fresh broccoli and just cut it off of the stalks. And I also have some cauliflower in here, and I have a couple carrots I think that I'll put on there. I'm just gonna put this all on a sheet pan and bake it in the oven. So it's just gonna be pork chops and the vegetables. And then in here, in this container, is some ranch seasoning mix that I'm just gonna coat the pork chops with. And then I have my pork chops already portioned out. I'm using I have 2 6-ounce pork loins in there. So that's it for that one. Really nothing to do, just getting the vegetables ready. That one's not even gonna be able to close. I have a lot of vegetables in there because we're not gonna be doing a potato or rice that night with this one. It's just gonna be pork and veggies. Finally, the last one is going to be done a little bit different because this is crock-pot barbecue meatloaf. I'm going to do this with canned potatoes, I think. I'm not really sure. I haven't quite decided yet. I think I'm going to use canned potatoes, so that won't go in the bag. And then zucchini and squash lime crema, which basically is just zucchini and squash roasted in the oven. And then the lime crema is sour cream with some fresh lime juice squirted in it. That's it. So what I've done is already measured out my sour cream. I have 2 points worth of sour cream in there for each, my husband and I. And I have my lime in there, and then my squash and zucchini. And then for the meatloaf, I'm going to do that a little bit different because I'm actually going to prep the meatloaf. So that way it'll be done. It's a crock pot recipe, so that way I'll just get up that morning, put the kid out, I'll throw the meatloaf in the crock pot, and then when I get home, all I have to do is the vegetables. So I'm going to just throw that meatloaf together real quick right now. All right, so for the meatloaf, this is a real simple recipe actually. I am going to be using 1.5 pounds of ground turkey breast. So I'm just going to put it in my bowl, and if you're new to my channel, you will get to know my Red Bulls. My Red Bulls have kind of become a thing on my channel, I guess you could say, because I always use my Red Bulls. I'm surprised people haven't named them yet, honestly. All right, to this, I'm going to add 1 shallot. And one thing that's not on the recipe is peppers. So if you want to add some red or green peppers, go right ahead. I'm going to add a little bit to mine. Okay, the next thing, I've already kind of prepped some of this, so you don't have to see me do all of this. In here is the dry ingredients, so I'm going to have to read off my thing here. In here is a ½ teaspoon of salt, ½ teaspoon of pepper, ½ teaspoon of ground sage, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and ½ teaspoon of ground mustard. That is going in there. Next, we're going to need a tablespoon of Worcestershire. Oh, and also in that dry ingredients was also 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. I forgot about that. Just the regular Italian breadcrumbs. The next thing I'm going to add is 1/4 cup of Velveeta shreds. So I'm just going to stick it on my scale so I don't have to dirty a measuring cup. And just weigh out the 1/4 cup, which is 28 grams. We're also going to need a ½ tablespoon of minced garlic, But if you know me, you know that I never go by the amount when it comes to garlic. I usually double it because we love garlic. And finally, 1 egg. And then just mix everything together. And yes, I'm a dig your hands in kind of girl. So close your eyes if you don't like this part. And while I'm mixing that up, oh, it's really cold because that turkey was not quite, it was almost not thawed out. Then the next thing I have is this is the sauce for the topping. I've already got that together, so that way when I get home, that's the last thing you do. For the last 30 minutes, you just dump this topping over it. This is a mixture of 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, and 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire. And it's regular brown sugar for that one. I'm not using the artificial sweetener. I'm using a regular plastic bag rather than one of my reusable ones. The only reason for that is because I'm gonna cut it out. So let me get my hands washed and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, hands are clean now. So the reason I'm using a regular plastic bag for this part is I'm gonna put it into loaf form, and then that way, that morning when I go to make it, what I'll do is just take some scissors and just cut along the side, and that way it'll slide right into the crock pot. And then just try to get as much air out as you can. Get it into best loaf form. And that is it. And then I'll put that in my bag with my vegetables. And then what I'll do is that morning I kind of just put it, you know, reform it back into loaf form. So that is how I do my dinners. So now what I'm gonna do while I clean up my mess from dinner. Oh, forgot about my sauce. So now what I'm gonna do is just get my berries. I have some blueberries that I'm gonna have for snack this week. I'm just gonna get those soaking in some vinegar water and then just put those into a container. So there's really not much to do with snacks. All right, so my berries I have sitting here drying. Those are all washed. So these are my puddings. I always usually have puddings at night. Those are 2 points each, or 70 calories. One thing I am gonna do this week is I'm just gonna weigh out some of these wheat thins. These are really good. They're 4 points for a serving. A serving is 29 grams or about 16 pieces, and calories is 120 calories. So I'm just gonna weigh out the 29 grams into each bag, and that way I can just pull them out and snack on them throughout the week. That bag's a little bit big, but so that just makes it easy. They're already weighed out. I'll keep them in my pantry right next to the box, and then that way it saves on overeating. Now I'm just gonna put my blueberries in this container. And then the other things that I sometimes do if you're new is if let's say I'm gonna have cereal or something later on in the week, I may go ahead and just weigh out my cereal, portion that out, put the milk in little containers just so that that's already done, but I'm not gonna be having cereal this week. So the next thing I'm gonna put in here, I just have some kiwi. I'm just gonna kind of set those. Actually, they're probably not really gonna fit. Yeah, actually those aren't all gonna fit. I'll just set those aside. And then I also have some bananas for the week. So that is it for my snacks. All right, so here's meal prep. Like I said, all the recipes will be linked down in the description box below, so I'm not gonna waste your time and go over all the points with you like I usually do. All the recipes will be listed down below, as well as any of the items that I use. I'll have those linked down below as well. I'm definitely gonna have to do some different sauce with that. That's definitely not gonna be enough for that. So first meal prep of the year complete. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe. I'll talk to y'all in my next video. I'm Kristi, and I'm Planning Us Healthy. So now, and I'm pausing right now because I see my husband the first day of the year walking in.
There he is.
I just said the first day of the year.
Yay!
I thought I could get my intro done before he got back from the store.
Uh-oh.
You didn't see that.